Welcome.
Brad,
back.
thanks for having me. It feels like old home week.
It does, and it's good to see you back at Channel 6, and exciting to be talking about All in Augusta.
Absolutely.
Is it fair to say that it is a campaign to make our area better?
That is the goal of it.
Yeah.
I'm working with the Augusta Convention and Visitors Bureau, who they focus on bringing in tourists, putting heads in beds, increasing hotel motel tax revenues. So the whole plan is to make the city more attractive, not to just tourists, but to residents alike.
All right, so how does this differ from efforts that are already underway to make our town better? Does it supplement those? Is it independent of those?
It supplements it. So there are a lot of other organizations that have really fed into this plan. We're in the process of getting resolutions of support from, the Downtown Development Authority, the Greater Augusta Arts Council, the Chamber. So we want everybody working on one page together, but it's not supplanting efforts that are ongoing. It really is supplementing them.
Are we looking at 5 years here until we see results, or we'll see things within that time?
No, we'll see things start this year. Okay. So the three major focuses of the campaign are to tell Augusta's story, both internally and externally. And it's interesting to me when people say, well, what internally, why do we need to do that? A big focus, the second focus is enhancing downtown, but there are still people out there that don't think that downtown is safe.
Right.
So a PR campaign to promote downtown, to ensure people that it's safe, it's someplace that is there for everybody. So telling Augusta's story, both internally and externally, enhancing downtown. There's money in there for sculpture gardens, working in partnership with the Arts Council on that. There's money in there to help supplement the efforts of Parks and Rec and the Central Savannah River Land Trust to connect the trails into downtown. So the third part is developing new attractions. And one of the things I'm really excited about is there's $450,000 in seed money to do an International Soul Festival. The CBB is working with the city. That should come out of the box actually 2019. So a lot of these things you'll start seeing within the next couple of years.
So when you talk about telling the story internally, okay, I get it. Getting more people to be aware of what we have here and not being afraid of it.
Exactly.
And then when you talk about externally, does that mean going to other towns and seeing ads for Augusta?
Yeah, it's broadcasting, that Augusta is a great place, not just to visit, but to live, work, and play as well.
All right, so go back to the downtown enhancements, in particular this Soul Festival, nearly $500,000 in seed money for it. Where'd y'all get the money?
Well, that's what we're raising the money for right now. And so the exciting thing to me about that is we've had a lot of James Brown-centered events in the past, but the problem that I think we've run into is they've not had professional management. And I tell everybody that, everything we do as a community now, we should focus on it being world class. So I think the $450,000 gets us that professional management that we haven't had before.
Deke, do you have, and it feels weird to call you Deke, I just had to hesitate because I want to just say Mayor Copenhaver because, not as a sign of respect as well, but I mean because I called you that for a decade. But when it comes to a Soul Festival and when it comes to the buzz that Augusta has because of James Brown. Not only as mayor, but now in your role with All in Augusta, how strong is that vibe, is that buzz outside of Augusta? I know he's gone, God rest him. Are people still very much aware of Mr. Brown?
It's huge, and I'll give you a great example, Brad. I'm working on a book, story to come later on that.
Yes.
But I was meeting with my publishing house down in Charleston 3 or 4 months ago, and my Uber driver said, well, where are you from? I said, I'm from Augusta. He goes, James Brown.
Instantly.
Instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, and so for, obviously being the home of the Masters is tremendously awesome, but there are so many music fans out there that, might not be golf fans, but they still know us for being the home of James Brown.
So
and Jesse Norman.
And Jesse Norman, yes. What does this look like? Does it look like a bunch of bands over a weekend at the Common? And if so, big names? What are you picturing?
That's what I'm picturing. I would look forward to talking with the professionals about that. But I think it'd be good to do something in the spring. We've got Arts in the Heart in the fall. We've got Westaboo in the fall to sort of counterbalance that. That's what the discussions are at this point.
How helpful are all of the new hotels going to be when you accommodate an event like that?
They're going to be huge. And part of the plan calls for The CVB promoting the extension of the commons. The city has money in the current SPLOST to do that. I know there have been a lot of discussions around that, but when you consider that, to extend the commons to the riverfront, how you could expand Arts in the Heart, or how you could have a soul music festival like this, it's just, the possibilities are limitless.
Talk about the level of interest you've picked up on so far from the private and public sector as far as raising that money.
Yeah.
Are people gonna donate?
Yeah, we're close to $1.2 million
already
now in pledges. Wow. We've been in the silent portion of the campaign, but to me, Brad, there's so much energy and enthusiasm out there at the grassroots level. We're looking to raise $6 million, but I don't see a community-wide campaign to coalesce all that energy and enthusiasm around. So this is something that, if you can give $100 or $100,000, we want everybody to be all in on this campaign. And I lived in Atlanta when the Braves went from worst to first, and I remember what it felt like for an entire city to be caught up in that effort. That's what I'm shooting for here.
Have you seen it happen in other towns?
I have seen it happen in other towns, and it's interesting. The commission just made a trip to Columbus several months ago, and so I've met with commissioners, and we've started discussing the potential of public-private partnership. But it was in Columbus where the private sector took the lead on shaping the future of the city, and then partnered with the government. So that's what I think. That's one model that I think we can use. That's what I think we need to see here.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the transformation that Mr. Copenhaver has outlined, when we can start to actually see things happening. I believe in some ways we already are, and really what the end result will look like. Will we be Columbus or Greenville or better when the Means Report continues?